Is it ACC Championship game or bust this year for the Miami Hurricanes?
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. On this episode, we are going to hear from, we're live at ACC Media Days, going to talk with new Miami Hurricanes starting quarterback Cam Ward, who was the talk of the town today in Charlotte, and head coach Mario Cristobal. I am Alex Donno from Locked On Canes, alongside Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. Tomorrow is Wolfpack Day here in Charlotte, Kenton. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great as always, man. I can never complain. Anytime I get to talk ball with you, I'm feeling good. We are right around the corner. Camp season is a week away. Yeah. It's so close. We can taste it. I'm ready to get into this football.
Yeah, and actually, Florida State and Georgia Tech, who are playing in Ireland to open up the season. I know Florida State has actually already started camp today. I would imagine Georgia Tech probably has as well, because they're going to be playing a week before most teams. And of course, Florida State. In most sports books, including FanDuel, who we are proudly brought to you by, Florida State leads the odds to win the ACC this year. Clemson is right there with Florida State, and Miami is right behind them. And, Kenton, we look at it. We're going to hear from Cam Ward and Mario Cristobal later on this episode. You look at the season coming up. This is as talented of a Miami roster as I've covered in a really, really long time that I've been covering the Miami Hurricanes. It's also the crucial third season for Mario Cristobal. He's got some continuity this year that both coordinators are heading into their second year on the staff. A lot of times Miami has been musical chairs with coordinators in recent years. Right. So you look at this. I mean, Miami is technically third in the ACC odds this year, but should the expectation be to get into that ACC championship game?
The expectation should be there, but I think there's a difference between the expectation being get there or it being ACC championship or bust. And I say that because this team, like you said, they're talented enough to do it. They're talented enough to get there. However, there are so many different parts. There's so many things that have to go the right way that, to me, ACC championship contention or bust is a much more fitting phrase. It's just kind of wordsy, and most people don't want to say that, right? It's easier to say, hey, you need to get there or bust. But if this team wins 10 games, who would be disappointed? Who would be mad? Who would say, oh, hell yeah, you just – unless those two were unceremonious refusal to kneel type losses, there's no world where you can be mad at Miami for winning 10 games this year. Now, if they are not in contention, that's a different story. If we're looking at 7 to 8 wins this year, now that seat is going to get hot as fish grease for Mario, okay? I know that, people are talking about this is one of the hottest summers ever. Mario is going to experience the hottest winter in the history of the world, because I don't think that there will be a single Miami fan excited to see him back at that point.
I like what you brought up about the 10-win season, because I was just looking at something today, 24/7 Sports, in honor of ACC Media Days, ACC kickoff happening today. They put out these 10 bold predictions for the ACC this year, and most of those predictions were kind of meh. I don't know how bold they were, but one of them caught my attention, and that was the prediction that 3 teams in the ACC this year will win at least 10 games. And what else I found interesting about that was Clemson was not one of them. They actually had Florida State, NC State, and Miami all having 10-win seasons this year. And Kenton, if it were to play out that way, you'd be looking at tiebreakers to decide which 2 of them play in the ACC championship game. So from that standpoint, you could say, well, it would be hard to be completely disappointed by a 10-win season, even if it doesn't result in it won't stop Miami fans from being disappointed. But I see the argument you bring up.
It won't stop some Miami fans being disappointed. Realistic Miami fans should be excited about that, because, again, it shows that you're building in the right direction. Mike Norvell didn't just take this team from, losing to Jacksonville State to undefeated in a year. It took time. There was a build. There was time to build that program up. It's very rare to see coaches come in year one have success. Year two is a little different. That's more common to see. But generally, you're looking at 3 years plus for a team to hit their stride with a coach. And I hate to say this, but there are certain things that go into the cultural part of teams that when a new coach comes in, there's definitely that new coach, old coach division in the locker room. And the young guys want to be cool, and they think the old guys are cool. So if they think the old guys are cool and the old guys are, we're this coach's recruits, now it's like, well, I'm really this guy's recruit, but, I got to fit in with the older. It's all types of stuff that you're looking at there that it's not easy to overcome. It's not, college football 25, those are robots. Those are code lines, zeros and ones. They don't have all the extra stuff. In real life, there's a ton of extra stuff that needs to be done properly and needs to be in line in order to get that fantastic undefeated season, or to not even undefeated, to get that ACC championship season.
You talk about culture, and that was a buzzword today with Mario Cristobal talking about overhaul, and you'll hear from Cristobal when we talk to him later on this episode. I think what you mentioned about like the recruits from the old coach versus the new coach, that makes a lot of sense. You've been in locker rooms before. Of course, Kenton Gibbs, my co-host here, is a former NC State defensive tackle. What are some of the other challenges that, fans may not see or may not think about when it comes to overturning a culture? And should year 3 be a year where that overhaul has happened?
So I will say year 3 is generally where you start to see that overhaul take effect, because even before the time of the transfer portal, by that time, your guys that you bought in are getting older. They're getting to set the culture. The culture is not already established, and you're having to go in and strip it down to the studs and build it back up, right? Like year 1 is your strip down year. Year 2 is like we have a vision for what's going on here type deal. Year 3 is where, depending on how good or bad you are as a coach, you start to see what you were supposed to be building. You start to see, all right, we're moving in that direction of what we wanted to see all along here. And so I'm not going to say year 3 it should be completed, but if things fall right for you, it can be completed. And I'll say this, more than anything else, in terms of, the culture thing, culture is so tough to develop at a university, because when you talk about, hey, this is how I do things, it's my way or the highway, it's that balance between my culture, my way, and, hey, these are individuals. Hey, these players, while they are going to be a part of this culture, I still want them to be who they are. Everybody talks about Nick Saban led teams and how they give the most generic cookie cutter, terrible answers ever. And yet, if you talk to a lot of those guys one-on-one or as individuals, all of a sudden, all this personality starts to come out. How does that happen? Because they're allowed to be individuals within that system. When you prove yourself and you show up enough, you're allowed to be who you are. So it's ultimately the coach has to come in and say, hey, this is who we are now. Buy into the philosophy, buy into our way of doing things, buy in. Because if not, you've got 2 options, roll with it or get rolled over. And by year 3, you should have enough of the guys who got rolled over saying, all right, I'm done. Or, you know what, I'm going to get in line.
Yeah, and, actually one of the players who's trying to help reset that culture is actually a transfer, Cam Ward, who's on Miami's leadership council, and high expectations for QB1 from Miami heading into next season. And we're going to hear from Cam Ward when we come back, and Mario Cristobal as well. You want to keep it locked right here. He's Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I am Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. I'm only getting started with Game Time. Guys, there's a reason why Game Time is the only ticket app that Kenton and I use, because we're getting the best deals. We're getting all-in prices, and we're especially getting amazing deals last minute. I don't stress about buying last-minute tickets thanks to Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Another thing I love about Game Time is right on the app, you get a panoramic view from your seat before you buy. So you know exactly where you are, what angle you're looking at, And the lowest price guarantee, that's another game changer. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, make sure to check out our other shows. Kenton Gibbs hosts Locked On Wolfpack. I host Locked On Canes, talking NC State, Miami Hurricanes each and every day. Now let's talk with Miami Hurricanes starting quarterback Cam Ward.
We got QB1 Cam Ward in the building here in Charlotte. Cam, you've been in Miami since January. Has it felt like a whirlwind? How's everything going so far?
It felt like it's moving fast, honestly. Here 6 months ago, 6 months later, we're finna start fall camp next week. So, it's been a blessing so far. I'm excited to get into camp and get into, the season.
You've gotten acclimated with your teammates very quickly. Some of the guys have commented to me that they were impressed you learned everybody's name within 24 hours. How important has the team building been and the leadership from your point of view?
That's been very important to me. That's probably one of my main focus once I got to Miami, just because the coaches, they're going to do a lot for us this year, but at the end of the day, if you're not a player-led team, you won't win a lot of games. So that's been the emphasis as, us as a team, for myself as a leader. I'm just trying to just create chemistry with everybody, because if you don't have chemistry with anybody, you can't really communicate with them at a high level like you really want to at the end of the day. So that's been a big focus for myself.
Miami's got one of the best looking offensive lines in the country. You got one of those guys is here today with you, Jalen Rivers. But can you talk about that group and the sense you get for the protection you're going to have this year?
Yeah, that O-line group is special. One thing I know about the O-line is that they're going to bring their A game each and every day for practice, for games. The things Coach Mirabal does with that group on his off time in Indy, is remarkable. I've never been a part of, an offense, coaching staff who really translates to the O-line so well, from Coach Cristobal and Mirabal. And, I'm just excited to see those guys grow. And Nez Cooper, he's one of the leaders in that standpoint. Zach Carpenter coming in, transfer, being our center. He's going to be a good standpoint for us all. Even CC, everybody know about CC and J Rib. So, I'm just excited to, be behind those guys. I know they got my back and I got theirs.
Talk to me about your receivers, your tight ends, all the weapons you're going to be looking at this year.
Yeah, special. I think this is probably one of the best tight end groups that I've played with in my career in college. From Elijah Arroyo, I think he's really the sleeper out of our playmaking room. He hasn't got a chance to play in 2 years due to injuries, but I think this is going to be a big year for him. Isaiah Horton, who's a young cat who's come along, made plays in the spring. I'm excited for him. We all know about X and JG. So I think being able to, get those guys to, buy into, not being selfish, being team players, get the whole team to buy into that aspect, I think we'll do something special this year.
Do you feel like the offense is a good fit for you? I know that there were a lot of air raid principles in the previous offenses you were. How's the fit been with Shannon Dawson's system?
This fit's been like plug and play. He's an air raid guy. He was at University of Houston, so he knows that I like to throw the ball. I know he's going to throw the ball a lot. But I think the best thing about us is that we have to be able to, manage our passing and running attack, because we are going to be able to run the football, I believe. And, being able to, just be more dynamic in both and being one-dimensional is going to be able to help us in the long run.
So I know you're the type of player who never stops practicing football. A lot of your training sessions with Shedeur Sanders and company are out there. Talk to me about your offseason regimen, what you've been up to.
The biggest thing I've been trying to work on this offseason is, staying within my framework, and that's in the pocket. In order to, get to where I want to be, you have to be able to win inside the pocket. The off-platform stuff, the scramble drill, I've been blessed to be able to do that. So, I work it, but, not as much as I'm working staying inside the pocket and then staying on balance. And then that's probably the biggest thing that I've been working with, my quarterback coach, and then with Kyron and Shedeur, we work with each other. So it's been good this offseason. We're gonna get some work in. Actually, Friday I go back to Houston on Thursday. We'll get some work in the last time before the season starts.
Now, all your teammates talk about the trash talk in practice, and they enjoy your competitiveness. Who's the best trash talker that goes toe to toe with you?
It's really a Nez Cooper, but if we was on the defense, On the defense, I'll probably say either C.J. Clark, actually Meech Powell. Meech Powell slowly working his way up there. But, you know, those two guys that I see the most trash talk on defense for sure.
Can you talk about team goals for Miami this coming season?
I feel like the biggest goal for us is obviously to win the ACC Championships. Everybody goal, but I think like we really want to get it done. We have the roster to get it done. And all the individual goals will take care of itself. If we win football games, everything you want will take care of itself. If you want to be a top 3 round draft pick, you know, win football games. You know, that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to stress, you know, to myself and to the team, that we win, everything take care of itself. But, you know, we can't win, you know, overnight. It's going to take week after week after week, and we just got to show up every Saturday. It doesn't matter if we're playing Florida, doesn't matter if we're playing, you know, an FCS team, Ball State, doesn't matter if we're playing, you know, Virginia Tech. You know, we have to be the same team every Saturday, because those guys, they're going to show up and they're going to play, you know, every game. Florida's going to give us our best shot. FAMU's going to give it their best shot. You know, we just got to match each team intensity to us.
Now, you got a couple of new offensive teammates who weren't around for spring football, Damian Martinez and Sam Brown. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you're expecting from these guys. I'd imagine you probably had a chance to work out with them by now.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of those guys. You know, I got a chance to see Damian live, you know, twice. My first year Wazoo and last year when he was at Oregon State. That guy the real deal. He can pick up blitzes, he can run the ball, he can move laterally. Like, it's different. You don't really see that, you know, right now from running back. So, you know, he was a big addition to our offense, and I'm glad we got him. And Sam Brown, he's probably our fastest receiver. He's up there with JG. Chris Johnson's one of the fastest people on the team. Sam Brown's up there with him. Sam's gonna be a big, how can I put it? He's gonna be a big stretch for us, just because he's giving us a different aspect. The way he runs his route, we can move him to slide, we can move him outside. He catches the ball real well. He's a great over-the-shoulder catch receiver. He creates space versus man. So I'm just excited to get like live reps with him in fall camp. Get him working with me like one-on-one in fall camp with the ones. You know, working him in there. And, you know, he was a big addition for us, and, you know, I'm happy to throw in some touchdowns this year.
Now, before you decided Miami was the spot for you, you debated going into the NFL draft. Why ultimately did you decide to play at Miami for a final year of college?
I never wanted to really leave college, in my opinion. I love college football. The NFL isn't going anywhere. But I feel like in order to put myself and my family in position to, you know, for a long-term success, I believe, I felt like it was right for me to stay in college. And, you know, Coach Cristobal gave me the opportunity that I wanted from a college, which was an opportunity to come in, you know, lead the football team my way of leading. Let me talk to the guys the way I want to talk to the guys. Don't really chain me. He's giving me freedom. He's letting me express myself the way I wanted to. So, you know, I've been blessed to be put in this position. You know, Coach Cristobal is a big part of that. And, you know, I think, you know, we have a season we want everybody to see it.
Have you had a chance to play the new college football video game yet?
Yes, sir. You already know.
Are you good?
I can say I'm pretty good. I really only play with 2 teams. That's Miami and Oregon, because Oregon on there is a cheat code. I'm not good at cap. the way they run it wide open, they got some speed over there. Oregon, they're a cheat code on the game. So really, they're the only 2 teams I've been playing with.
Now, did they get you? Did they get Cam Ward? Did they get you right on the game? Your rating, your attributes? How do you feel like you're?
They bless me. I can say that they bless me, but they gotta have me. They don't have me breaking tackles in the backfield like I do in real life. I'm like, some of it you gotta get the update. So I gotta make some more plays during the season. Hopefully they boost me during the season.
Cam, I appreciate it, man. Welcome to Miami. Well, we're in Charlotte now, but welcome to Miami. Welcome to Charlotte, and best of luck this season.
Appreciate it.
It's great getting to know Cam Ward ahead of the 2024 Miami Hurricanes football season. We're going to talk to his head coach. Mario Cristobal joins us next. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. We love this Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Here's Miami Hurricanes head coach Mario Cristobal.
Coach, heading into year 3, how do you feel about the transformation and the implementation of the Miami culture?
I feel strong about it. We've been working really, really hard from day one to bring in the right people, teach the right principles and values so that our organization fully understands them, and feel that our guys, our players, our coaches, everyone's in line and implementing those things and carrying them out the way they're supposed to be carried out. The influx of talent has certainly helped. Competition at just about every position has certainly helped as well. So all in all, we've had a great offseason and feel great about going into year 3.
And some of the new talent here, Coach, of course, Cam Ward, who's here as well in Charlotte. What has he meant to this team since he's been here in January?
He is he's a real deal, relentless competitor, an alpha leader, a guy that really, he just works. He works and he makes sure other guys around him work as well. The team has taken to him really, really well. He's personable, affable. His personality is magnetic. People are always around him because they feel his energy, his drive, his determination is really special. So he's been tremendous for us, and we feel he's going to be a key to us continuing to improve our program.
Talk about Ward's fit with the offense. He talked about his comfort in Shannon Dawson's air raid and also having that continuity with both coordinators being back this year.
That's big. It's been a minute since we've had that. And when you have that right away in January, when you start adjusting, when you start evolving, the familiarity of scheme, the familiarity of personnel, it accelerates things. When you add talent, that accelerates it even more. So that's been really positive for us. Our players certainly have taken to it, and they've done a really good job teaching the younger players on how we do things.
It seems like Miami is the type of team with, the talent at wide out and pass catchers and quarterback, but also the offensive line and the rushing talent. You could maybe have the luxury to kind of dictate, the way the offense works.
Well, we feel good about the talent that we have, and now that talent has to be put to good use, and it has to work really hard and play well. So we've done those things in the offseason. Now they have to happen in camp, and then they have to happen in preparation, and certainly, of course, in the games. It's a process-oriented industry. We know that, and we feel that some of these things that we've done can certainly accelerate things, but we are on track with all the things that we've done to build a championship football program. And we're so looking forward to getting to work in training camp here next Monday and Tuesday, because these guys have been chomping at the bit. They want to work.
Coach, something I've noticed talking to players in recent months is there's really an emphasis on wanting to be a player-led team. How important is that?
Oh, it's everything. Coaches will take you a certain length of the way, and the rest, it's got to be the players. Every great team that we played on here at Miami and that we coached here at Miami always was always built through the player, just led way. It always has been, and we're getting more of that. It's really starting to lean that way, and now they've got to take full control of the things that they can control. And when their leadership opportunities present themselves, they got to jump all over it. They got to do it, and they will do it. They want to do it. So we just got to put them in situations throughout camp where they have a chance to show they can do it.
I would imagine the players that are here with you, Cam, Jalen Rivers, Kiko, it's not a coincidence that they're here representing the U. Are those some of the leaders of the team?
Without a doubt. They're on the leadership council. They've been voted there by their peers. They have super bright futures, but their focus is the 2024 season, and they're ready to get after it.
Coach, of course, we're at ACC Media Days. How do you feel about the conference this year, Coach? It seems like probably a little underrated and under the radar.
A lot of good teams, a lot of good quarterbacks. The line of scrimmage on just about every team has improved significantly. It's going to be a big year for the ACC.
How big is it this season? Obviously, Florida State is an annual rivalry, but to also have Florida and USF on the schedule this year.
Yeah, it's awesome. When you get a chance to play in-state teams, you get to further enhance some of the rivalries, and then you get to build some other ones, some new ones, or newer ones. And it's great for the fan bases and the alumni, and opportunities for our players to compete against guys they played against in high school. We have such a strong Florida contingent on our roster that all in all, it's we focus on one thing at a time, and camp is number one right now. But certainly when those games come up, you can book it that the intensity is going to be through the roof.
Coach Mario Cristobal is here with us, and Coach, some of the other new players that are in at Miami, Damian Martinez, I know he's only been around for a short while, arrived on campus in June, but what are you expecting from him this year?
I expect nothing but his best, just like we expect from everybody else. You know, we've worked hard to continue to build and bolster the roster, and we've created, we've implemented and created schemes that use our talent to the best of its ability. And now we got to put it to use. And that's what we're looking forward to, is actually doing the work now and practicing against each other and making ourselves the best, most physical, most disciplined, highest executing team we could possibly be.
You're going back to spring football. Do you feel like that was the best spring you've had yet, your team has had since you've been back in Miami?
We believe so. We had some guys out due to some injuries or whatnot, but we felt that the advancement of, and being in a year, in a scheme for the second year in a row, it showed up. And I think a lot of young guys got some really valuable reps that, they're going to get reps now during training camp, but I think they got some frontline reps that all of a sudden put them to the test and made them understand and realize how important it is to always be prepared. So, and we went all the way through. We had a spring game, like a real deal spring game, scrimmage type situation, and guys got better. And that led to a great offseason in the strength and conditioning department. Some great OTAs led by our players as well. And that should lead to a great training camp.
Coach, I know you mentioned this morning you had a hard time finding Cuban coffee in Charlotte. Late afternoon now, have you tracked any down?
Nothing.
Well, best of luck. Head coach Mario Cristobal, thank you so much, and we'll see you in fall camp in about a week.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go Canes.
So that was really cool, being able to connect today with Cam Ward, who was a very popular man here in Charlotte today. Head coach Mario Cristobal of the Miami Hurricanes. What are your expectations for Miami this year? Let us know in the comments below here on Locked On Canes. So Kenton, any parting comments? Is tonight, it's like Christmas Eve for you, because NC State is tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow is a really loaded day. NC State, Clemson, UNC, and Syracuse. It's going to be a nice way to wrap up the kickoff.
See, if today is like Christmas Eve for me, it must be Christmas for you, because you just called this show Locked On Canes and everything. That's how excited you are. Yeah, you all right, But I'm gonna keep you honest. That's why I'm here. But in all seriousness, this is it absolutely is a big time moment, because this is the most excitement there has ever been around NC State football since maybe Phillip Rivers was here. This is it.
Yeah.
This is a moment where national eyes are on NC State. Regional eyes have been on NC State at multiple different times. You could talk about Devin Leary was named the ACC preseason player of the year, and they had a good defense, and everybody's saying, okay, this is going to be the year. Devin Leary gets hurt in game 5. You have to start 4 different quarterbacks in a year. Doesn't turn out to work that way, but you still get 8 wins. This is a year where everybody, not just locally, media outlets and eyes nationally are saying they're building something special in Raleigh.
Yeah.
How they perform this year is going to be so vital. But before we can get there, we first got to get through media days, where, of course, you talk about a transfer setting the culture at Miami, where you've got 2 transfers in Grayson McCall and Jordan Waters coming in. Grayson McCall coming from right down the street at Dirty Myrtle, and Jordan Waters from Durham, which he didn't even have to leave the airport to go to a different city, okay? And so, Davin Vann, a guy who's been there for a while, who's also, player development type of side of NC State. This is going to be very interesting to see them speak. But again, you've got Clemson, who is suing the conference. 10-win seasons are seen as a down season for them. That's just the objective truth. You've got UNC, who, a lot of people are saying that team shouldn't be much this year, but I'll tell you something. Every time you expect the University of North Carolina to be bad, they find a way to surprise a few teams. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And Syracuse, to me, is the biggest wild card in this conference.
Yeah.
There are people who are either really high on them. There are people who are really low on them. You and I seem to be the only people in the country just about. They're like, I think they're going to be decent, but I'm not sure. Because most people are seeing them as an 8-win team or a 3-win team, and there seems to be no in between.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And by the way, I can reveal later this week my my All ACC ballot, because I got to vote on some stuff out here, and I think I had the Dirty Foot Club finishing 6th in the conference. I got to double check that. I know they weren't top 4, not top 5. So we will review that later on this week. He is Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I'm Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. And by the way, among other things, tomorrow, JJ Jackson from Locked On Blue Devils is going to join us, talk a little Duke football, preview their season coming up. So you want to tune in right here on another episode of Locked On ACC, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.